Hi, I'm Holly, here with Talking Tree Creative. Do you want to make your own business videos? No problem. Do you have some time? It's becoming an accepted fact that if you are in business today, you need videos to communicate with your audience. You already know you needed a website and then a good SEO plan, but the text, audio, and video pieces that you upload every month are the fuel that keeps your business coming up in those searches. If you expect to get any traction from online content marketing, including social networking, then you need to be producing videos on a consistent basis, at least one per month, but even more frequently if you can. This can be done affordably with the right video production company, but you may want to do it yourself. If you do it yourself, you need to do it right, or you will be working against yourself. In this video, I will teach you how to get better quality videos from your phone with just a few tips and a few low-cost tools that you will need to make it all work. We're going to address the basics as well as how to avoid the most common problems that make the videos seem amateur. Now, this is going to take you some time to master. Although it's not rocket science and you can definitely do it, the elements that make a video good take time to work out and practice. You need to get to know your equipment. It takes time to set the right lighting, audio levels, and it takes time to get the right performance from your subjects on the camera. Many of these details are things that you wouldn't normally think about, but viewers perceive them in the subconscious, and when they are wrong, the overall perception is amateur, even if the viewer doesn't know why. So if you're willing to make the commitment equal to another part-time job, let's get on with it. If not, let's just call a professional and pay to have it done right. Remember, it's your company's image. So let's start with some background about video production. We can break down the contents of any video into three basic categories: visual, audio, and performance. Within those three categories are a slew of considerations and elements that make or break the video. And although they're all important, some take priority over others. For example, audio must be captured correctly and at the right level. The sound of your video takes priority over the visual. People ingest sound in much more detail, and it has a deeper emotional effect than most visuals. In fact, that's why when a director wants a visual to have a great impact on you emotionally, they will do away with the sound altogether and show that shot in silence. Another priority is physical performance. If you have a great performance, it can carry the whole show, even if the audio and video are not the best quality. We've all seen a very young musical protege or someone performing some great feat on YouTube. If it's amazing enough, you ignore the poor quality. Your phone camera is built to capture great videos with little knowledge from the user, so just a little more knowledge will make it go a long way. Now, although your camera captures sound pretty well, it's not set to accommodate every situation. Capturing audio in general is much more difficult, and it requires a lot more knowledge about the physics of sound. Some of the audio elements you'll need to capture are the spoken voice, background sounds, music and sound effects, and there are different techniques for capturing or inserting these elements. The most important being the choice of microphones and how you use them. In the visual category, we need to pay attention to focus, framing, lighting, exposure, and motion, meaning the motion of the subject or the motion of the camera. And the physical performance category is much harder to nail down, but we all know it when we see it. Is it compelling? Does it evoke an emotional response? Does it surprise or delight in some way? Is it personable? Now let's get down to the concrete tools and tips you can use to make a great video. I'm going to show you some tools you can purchase, which will allow you to get better quality than what you can get with your phone by itself. Let's start with audio and the spoken voice. You're going to want a direct sound rather than the room sound. You need to check your audio level for whatever you are recording. Choosing the right mic is very important, and you do need to buy a mic. Some mics pick up what's right in front of them and reject all other sounds around them, while others are meant to have a wider angle of sound collection. These ultra-narrow mics are called shotgun, whereas the wider angle mics are called omni, and there are many choices in between. The next important factor is where you put the mic. For direct speaking, you want it as close to the sound source as possible. If you point your camera at someone and use the onboard mic, you're likely to get something like this.
So here's an example of me speaking using just the microphone that's built into the phone. And you can hear it's very reverberant. I'm not using any external microphone.
On the other hand, you can buy a wired lav mic like this Rode, which is about $25, and plug it into your multi-purpose jack, and it will isolate the voice very well.
And here's an example of me using an external microphone.
After plugging in your mic, you need to set the recording level. To do that, have the person who will be speaking say some of their lines while you set the record level. Never let it hit 0. If you move the mic, plug in a different mic, or have someone else speaking, then you need to do another level test. Any variation in the situation can change your recording level. Remember that you are manually controlling the record level, so you have to keep an eye on it. Auto record levels sometimes work well, but not always, and the whole idea here is that you are in control.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and being one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth.
Your chief executive might not like having to come and re-record because you didn't get it right the first time. On a professional crew, we often have an audio engineer who's responsible only for the audio. And it's not because we like to waste your money. It's because we like not to waste your money or your time. The most common problem with amateur videos is bad audio, and it's usually bad because it's either distorted, which is recorded too hot, or there's too much ambient room noise and the speaking is hard to discern. To get good background noise when you're not recording anything else, the phone mic is very good. If you need to get both background noise and speaking, then you should record them independently and mix them together when editing. You can also use a separate audio recording device such as a Zoom. Okay, let's move on to visuals. The first tool I'm going to show you is an app called Filmic. This works on iPhone, iPad, and Androids. You will also want some kind of mounts to hold your camera and extension poles to help stabilize your motion. You have a focus control, iris control for ISO sensitivity, zoom, as well as audio levels, choice of front or rear camera, and light. First, let's set our focus. Everything in the frame doesn't need to be in focus, but something does. And it should be the thing that you want your viewer to focus on, right? Now let's get to the right exposure. The amount of light on your subject is set with the iris control. This should not be left on automatic because it might change on its own, and you want to make sure that your subject is well lit. Next up is framing. The composition of your frame is how you guide your viewer's eyes to where you want their attention. For example, if you are interviewing someone, they should be off to one side of the screen, looking towards the empty side of the screen. This creates a negative space in which the viewer places themselves. It's a common technique used to create engagement. Consider the size of your subject in the frame. If you want to establish an environment, then it's okay if the subject is small in the scene. But if you want a personal appeal, then you should be very close up. And watch your headroom. If there's too much headroom, it makes them look smaller and less important in every way. Stabilization. Use something to stabilize your shot. Don't depend on the shaky hand icon in the toolbar. It really doesn't work except for minimal shake. Put the phone on a tripod stand, or if your camera is going to move around, you can use any of these inexpensive handheld devices. If you want to make a larger investment, these gimbal stabilizers will make your shots smooth as cream. Focus control is the last of the major adjustments, even if we already did it once or twice. You should always double check it before recording. Again, don't leave the phone on autofocus. It looks amateur and you really want to focus it yourself. Maybe you want to do a shallow depth of field where your background is a little bit fuzzy and your subject is sharp. You can do that with this focus control if your lighting is just right. Now it's time for the actor, the physical performance. Choosing who will be in the video and directing them is probably the most important aspect of making a video. So don't let anyone ruin the video by being aloof, quiet, or otherwise boring. And that's about it. If you follow these basics and put some time into practicing, you should be able to make your videos much more true to your vision. And if it seems like too much of a bother, call us at Talking True Creative and we'll do it for you. Thanks.